Member for Cunningham.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, it's the case that the opposition will be supporting the bills before us. I just do want to put on the record that we had some frustration about the fact that this original bill was significantly amended at the last moment, and the Minister did give me a briefing, but it was sadly only 15 minutes before the Shadow Minister in the other place had to speak on the bill. So I'm sure the Minister will understand if we retain the right to continue to vigorously raise any issues that arise out of the changes the government's putting in place. It is the case that I remain disappointed that the government didn't accept our amendment to put price caps on courses. One of the great problems within the vet fee help sector has been the quite unacceptable level of price increases that has occurred for training courses, and given that that will continue for another 12 months pending a redesign of the vet fee help system, I do think it would have been good for the government to accept that particular amendment. However, I acknowledge the government did accept other amendments from the opposition, and we look forward to working together to progress those, in particular to establish an ombudsman for the sector. There must be a voice for students put in place, and a place where they can go and raise their concerns and have them mediated. We have the regulator, ASQA, who does the job in terms of enforcing standards and auditing the particular providers approved, but they don't fulfil an individual role for students, and that is very frustrating for many students who do report to ASQA. Their expectation is that that will be resolved for them individually, but it's not. It's actually just intelligence for the regulator. So I think it is a really important recommendation. It's come from a variety of stakeholders calling for an ombudsman to be put into place, and so I do acknowledge that the government in the other place accepted that amendment, and we look forward to working to progress that. Hopefully over the next 12 months all of these measures will work to drive the shonks and spivs out of the sector. The way they have been exploiting young people has been appalling, and we've seen report after report of young people signed up to courses, firstly that they really didn't have the capacity to undertake, and therefore we've seen these very disappointing completion rates. Secondly, quite often they are unaware of the size of the debt that they've been left with, and that of course creates real issues for them in their longer-term studies. And thirdly, many of them, as a result of being poorly recruited by very often brokers who have no educational experience, has meant that they are unable to complete their courses, and so quite often they ended up with a debt and without a qualification, which is potentially the worst outcome. But we should also acknowledge there are some people who finish their courses, and yet it's been of such poor quality that the industry, and childcare is one outstanding example where some employers have gone public, have blacklists of providers. And so a young person's got a qualification and they're applying for jobs in good faith, unaware that they're not succeeding because the qualification is poorly regarded in the industry. And so it is absolutely critical that we take stern action to make sure that this is weeded out. It's not just young people, it's the Minister I know is aware. They've been trawling aged care sectors, signing people up saying, oh, because you're on the pension you'll never have to pay the debt back. So what you're ending up with on a program that should be there to support people in the same way we support university students, to support people who want a vocational qualification at the diploma level, is being trashed by that sort of behaviour, and to the point where not only the funding stream is being discredited, but the whole sector potentially as well. So we are a bit frustrated. We're glad to see, in a moment of panic, the government did some last-minute reform to its own legislation. We will support that. We do appreciate those amendments we put forward that the government has adopted, and I think it will pay for all of us to remain very alert and agile, to borrow the government's terminology, to make sure that this behaviour is absolutely stopped in the interim 12 months, and that we can work together to establish a better scheme for the longer term.